So I just seen yesterday, and this is an opinion poll put out, and of course the two by-elections, that Sinn Fein, the main opposition party, so-called opposition, didn't do as well as they thought. They've lost a lot of support, particularly in working class areas in Dublin. And the simple reality is, I used to be back years ago a Sinn Fein supporter. When I was younger, I used to take naively, I think everybody at one stage who was nationalist, Irish nationalist, because Sinn Féin nowadays, unfortunately, has changed its identity. It really has changed its identity, because Sinn Féin was founded as a party for ourselves, for the Irish people, a nationalist party. Now it's become your radical left party in a way, and I hate using that terminology, like radical left and stuff, because it divides people. I hate using it, but it's the simple truth. And I know so many people in Sinn Féin that are disheartened with the leadership, that are a bit bewildered with what Sinn Féin has become. And a lot of people have, and that's what we have seen. We've seen many people leave Sinn Féin over the years and stuff, and of course I've stopped supporting Sinn Féin years ago. But the reason why I wanted to make this video, because I've seen this poll, and I've seen a lot of people too. I've even heard of people that were in Sinn Féin nearly all their life, and some of them are leaving Sinn Féin. Like, that's like there's serious problems in Sinn Féin, and Sinn Féin has betrayed its base. It's betrayed its working class base, because Sinn Féin was for the working people, really, the working class. And unfortunately, we've seen in places like Dublin and other parts than the country where people have been busted in the middle of the night and Sinn Féin's nowhere to be found. And we see Mary Lou McDonald, and again, Sinn Féin changed its identity. It used to be a nationalist party, now it's a left wing party. Like, even saying, I've seen Mary Lou put up on her Facebook, or once I think it was on her Twitter too, that how's the Irish Forces file, apparently. And years ago, Arthur Griffith was the founder of Sinn Féin, etc. They didn't fight, and I heard one Sinn Féin person say that Palestine is more important than Ireland. And of course, don't get me wrong, there's terrible stuff happening in Palestine. But at the end of the day, the Irish people come first. That's what Sinn Féin was founded at ourselves. Not for anybody else, not for Cuba, not for Palestine, for Ireland. And of course, there's terrible things happening in them countries, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, the main priority is the people of Ireland. That's as simple as that. That's the simple thing. It's the same with the fight for independence. It's the same now. The Irish people should come first. Now the Irish people should always be the first priority. And even the saying Ireland belongs to the Irish. Now Patrick Pearse said that. And again, the whole identity of Ireland's fight for independence, and Sinn Féin was called in the 1916 Rising, was called the Sinn Fein Rising in a lot of international press at the time. And modern Sinn Féin, you need to think it's a different party altogether, but it is a different party altogether. And Sinn Féin, what was it? What was 800 years about if Ireland doesn't belong to the Irish? That's what I really want to know. Because we did fight 800 years. The whole identity of the fight for independence, the fight for Irish sovereignty, independence, was to have an Irish state, first of all, was to have its own government, etc. But not only that, the Gaelic League, etc. Irish people owned their own property, Catholic majority, etc. What was the whole point in that if we're going to throw that out the window? And especially when it comes to mass immigration, etc. Sinn Féin has let, and as we just mentioned earlier on about people being busted in the middle of the night, Sinn Féin said nobody has a veto, basically agreed with the government, and that Sinn Féin's policy on immigration is the same as the government. They would probably bring in more. I don't know would they bring in more people. It's hard to know, would they? But I don't think they should. And again, any party that changes its identity, like the very core identity, what it was founded upon, is doomed to fail. It really is doomed to fail. It's the same as Fianna Fáil. Fianna Fáil is failing because Fianna Fáil was identified as for the Celtic Irish, for the Celtic Irish, to unite Ireland. To Fianna Fáil's manifesto back in the day was about uniting the country. And having self-sufficiency, etc. The Irish people to have a Celtic nation. That was Eamon Dev Lewis' identity. And of course, Fianna Fáil has basically flipped it on its head. And the same with Fine Gael too. Like the people who founded Fine Gael too be spinning on their graves to see what's Fine Gael. But not so much maybe Fine Gael, but Fianna Fáil and Sinn Féin have really just blown up the parties basically in a lot of cases because they've changed their identity. One was founded on the whole principles of the whole party, if that makes any sense. But the thing about Sinn Féin, even when I was there too, like, the other thing is, I don't know, did they believe in private property? I really don't. I really don't know, do they? I think their assessment is that the state should own the land that your house is built on, but you won't own the property. Like, nobody seems to know that in Sinn Féin, what's the stance on that. And, other stuff too, like the abortion, as I say too. Like, I don't believe in abortion, to be totally honest, unless it's, like, medical reasons, etc. But Sinn Féin supported that, etc. And I don't know, and they went one to Westminster in Northern Ireland for it too, which is absolutely insane thing to say, but it is the truth. But that's why I wouldn't support Sinn Féin, because they've betrayed, and especially in the last few years, they've definitely betrayed the working class. They've left the working class behind. And they have, and especially people who are nationalist people who love their country, etc. They've betrayed them. As I said, when I was younger, I was a big supporter of Sinn Féin. I think we all were at one stage. Everybody was. Everybody was deceived by Sinn Féin. But nowadays they're very openly back. At least when I was younger, they were openly saying, "Yeah, we're a nationalist party, etc." But nowadays it's, there's not a hate about that anymore. But yeah, Sinn Féin has lost its whole identity. It's literally lost its whole soul, I would nearly say. And of course, there's good people. I know people in Sinn Féin and stuff. And they're still there, and some of them are very discontent, I would say, in Sinn Féin. They won't say to the leadership, but they are a bit sus. They're like myself. They have the same views as myself. And they're questioning because they're working class people the same as you and me. And they're getting up in the morning, going to work and trying to pay a mortgage and stuff. And then they see people coming in the middle of the night. And they're like to themselves, hang on a second, what's happening here? They're questioning it. And you see it in the polls too. The Sinn Féin supporters question immigration more than the Fianna Fáil Fine Gael supporters, because a lot of them be like, hang on a second, why are we ourselves? We're supposed to be for ourselves. And we're bringing all these people in. It's not even just immigrations and other stuff too. We even see the hate speech bill, etc. Sinn Féin were nowhere to be found nearly. They did oppose it, but at the very last second they did oppose it. And even take for example the current government at the moment, Sinn Féin. They should have brought down the government 10 now, like in the first 5 minutes of the government, they should have brought it down if they were any good of an opposition, because at the end of the day, they're no addition. They really are no addition, because nothing has really been achieved. What I mean by that is the government should have collapsed 10 minutes ago, basically, what I'm trying to say, if they were just literally banging on their doors. But Sinn Féin is nowhere to be found. It's such an opposition party. But as I say, in migration and stuff, they're pretty much the same as the government. They don't have much difference. I nearly think they wouldn't deport anybody if they got away with a Sinn Féin. And the same as the government. The government are begrudgingly deporting a few people here and there. But the other thing about the top of Sinn Féin is that the leadership, I don't know what's wrong with them anymore nowadays, because it's absolutely insane. It's incoherent what's coming out of the leadership, particularly on the family care welfare, and may say that. That's the other thing I would say. Straight away, as soon as 95% of the country said to the government to shove it where the sun doesn't shine, Mary Lou was straight away, we won the family care welfare if we get into government, even though 95% of the Irish public told them, no, we don't want it, no thank you, go away. But yeah, she was like straight away, we won it. So I don't know what Sinn Féin was trying to do here, but what they should be doing is listening to people more. Because I think they have just gotten the leadership particularly are so up here now that they just don't think they should listen to the bottom levels. What I mean by that, the working class person, the person who made Sinn Féin, who fought for the Irish Republic to be established, the founding of Sinn Féin, Arthur Griffith, etc. They betrayed them people. They have betrayed them, whatever about it is. They think they know everything, basically, the leadership. And they think that anybody who questions anything they do is racist and far-right extremists and all that crack. But it is the truth, and it was that if Sinn Féin would go back to what it was founded on, I say they would nearly probably be in government within the next few years if they wanted to go back to that. But they continuously want to go in this path that's going to bring to their own destruction, pretty much, in a way. We see this already in Ireland, because they probably should have won the 2 by-elections going by the polls a few years ago. And now it's just completely collapsed, because Sinn Féin is nowhere to be found. It's the same for the farmers, etc. Well, Sinn Féin were not really anywhere to be found in a lot of cases, the farmers and stuff, because they were too afraid to be called names, etc. But there's many other things with Sinn Féin, but I have major grievances, as I say. That's why I don't support Sinn Féin anymore, because I don't, I think they're more worried about every other country, and that's to be generally honest. I think they're worried about every other country but their own country, like Mary Lou McDonald's wearing a Palestine flag, and that's all well and good, of course, but at the end of the day, you're in the Irish Dáil that people had to fight and die for. You probably should be worried about the people in this country before, and then you can worry about that after, later on. But the simple truth is, I'm not, as I say, it is a serious thing that's happened over there. Don't get me wrong, I don't mean to undermine that, but at the end of the day, Sinn Féin means yourself, for the Irish people. I wish I could sit here and say they were, but they're not, and the simple truth is they're not. And I hope they do change. I hope they do, because Sinn Féin, when it was founded by Arthur Griffith and stuff, even we could say even up to 30, 40 years ago, Sinn Féin was pro Ireland, pro independence, pro United Ireland, etc. And they still are pro United Ireland, of course. But what I mean by that is that they're very pro just keeping Irish people keeping Irish people here, basically, what I'm trying to say. Nowadays, I'm not too sure what they're about, basically. I don't think even the people that's in the party know what they're about nowadays, because they've changed their mind so frequently. But as I said about Fianna Fáil and Sinn Féin, they've changed their identity. When you look at the foundation of Fianna Fáil when it was founded, it was entirely, like, nowadays it's entirely different. When you look at the party, you're like, what the fuck? Like, imagine Town Name and Devil are now, that we don't want a backwards looking idea of sovereignty. And even Mary Lou McDonald, I never ever heard her question me, her Martin, what is this with a backwards looking idea of sovereignty? She never questioned this. Like, what is this to do with a backwards looking idea of sovereignty, me whole? But she never did. Like, that's a very important thing. And nobody's ever talked about it. If I ever come across me whole, that'd be the first thing I ask him. What is this to do with a backwards looking idea of sovereignty? Because, I think Arthur Griffith, to hear that, even me, her Martin, her sitting there listening to it, because he was sitting here and she was literally nearly there right beside him. I don't know, would they be too pleased with that? But anyway, let me know what you think. Subscribe for more and bye.